Hello everyone! In Pokemon, power isn't everything. Even if a Pokemon has amazing attack or special attack and powerful moves, it won't see much usage if it has poor bulk, speed, and/or a general lack of utility. There are a lot of Pokemon with insane damage output that end up in really low tiers. For those that aren't familiar, Smogon, the main governing body for competitive singles, splits Pokemon into tiers based on usage, with OU, overused at the top, and ZU, zero used at the bottom. In this video, I'll be going over what I think are the top 5 low tiers for breaking OU Stall, the bulkiest archetype. Stall teams have 6 walls and no offensive Pokemon at all. If you're facing a Stall team, basically the only thing that matters is how powerful your Pokemon are. The value of speed and defense are much diminished against Stall teams, since Stall Pokemon are super slow and not very powerful. Some Pokemon that are pretty bad in OU normally become absolute top tiers specifically against Stall. One last thing I should clarify before I get into the ranking, I'm excluding low tier Pokemon that have significant usage in OU. A Pokemon like Hydrapple is technically a low tier since it's in UU, but it's got 3% usage in OU, so it's not super uncommon at all. Same goes for breakers like Hisuian Arcanine and Manaphy. They are great stall breakers, but I really wanted to showcase Pokemon with super low usage in OU. Everything on this list is on 0.05% of high-level OU teams or less. Now, let's get into it. At number 5, we have Porygon Z. This Pokemon is an absolute monster. It's a mono-normal type, which is normally poor offensively, but Porygon has some tricks up its sleeve, mainly its ability Download. Download grants a +1 boost to either attack or special attack. Which stat is boosted corresponds to which defensive stat of the opponent is lower. So if a Porygon Z enters on a Pokemon with lower special defense, like a Dondozo, it gets a special attack boost and quickly becomes insanely powerful. Its 135 base special attack is also pretty amazing. It has a great move pool as well. It gets Tri-Attack, an 80 base power special normal move that has a 20% chance to either burn, paralyze, or freeze the target, and it has pretty great coverage with Ice Beam, Thunderbolt, Psyshock, and Shadow Ball. The set that breaks Stall best is Choice Specs with Download. Pairing the 1.5 times download boost with the 1.5 times choice specs boost gives Porygon an insane 830 special attack without even setting up. For reference, that's about as much special attack as a fully invested Iron Valiant after 3 Calm Minds. With Psyshock to deal 70% to Blissey, there are very few good ways Stall can deal with this Pokemon. Even if Blissey uses Terra Dark, Terra Normal Tri-Attacks can stall out Soft-Boiled relatively easily, and even faster if Porygon Z inflicts a status condition. Most Stall teams will just fold to this monster. The reason it's only at number 5 though, is that certain special walls with Terra can wall Porygon Z for quite a while. Terra Ghost or Steel on Blissey is rough, and Terra Ghost or Steel on a regenerator wall like Toxapex is very difficult, since it can scout Porygon Z and then safely switch out many times. The choice specs also causes a bit of an issue. The power is great, but since Alomomola and Gliscor, 2 very common stall Pokemon, often use Protect, Porygon Z isn't too hard to scout. It also needs to be supported well by many pivots. To fully take advantage of the download boost, you need to make sure you switch in at just the right moment. Now for a Pokemon not nearly as powerful, but still more potent, Deoxys Defense. Deoxys Defense is a mono-psychic type with the ability Pressure, which seems pretty underwhelming for something that's supposed to break stall teams. It has amazing base 160 in both defenses, but 50 HP makes it a lot less bulky than you would think. It has a mediocre 70 in both attack stats and a decent 90 base speed. Deoxys has an extremely diverse move pool, but the 2 main moves that are important to us are Psychic Noise and Knockoff. Psychic Noise is a 75 base power psychic move that blocks healing of all kinds for 2 turns. It's obvious why this would be great against Stall. And Knockoff removes items, most notably heavy-duty boots. If Deoxys Defense is paired with Stealth Rock, Spikes, a Gholdengo to block Defog, it's an unstoppable force for most Stall teams. Galarian Weezing can bypass Gholdengo's Good as Gold and Defog, but it doesn't like taking Psychic Noise, and everything that is okay with taking a Psychic Noise, like Blissey, desperately does not want its item to be removed. The main limitation is PP. Psychic Noise can only be used 16 times. That's why I also gave my Deoxys Calm Mind. This allows it to build up offensive power and make the most of every psychic noise, so it doesn't just get PP stalled by Gliscor, Corviknight, and Blissey. And for the last move, Deoxys has Recover to keep it healthy. Even Terra Dark Blissey won't shut this Pokemon down. Switching in on hazards over and over again will eventually stall Blissey out of Soft-Boiled. This Deoxys set needs a lot of support to work, but if that support is provided, it's almost entirely unstoppable. The only way to beat it is a Dark-type or Terra-Dark Pokemon that can heal off Hazard Chip without much of an issue, so a Terra-Dark regen wall like Toxapex or Alomomola would be pretty difficult to get past. So would a Terra-Dark Gliscor, but most stall teams don't have this. I should also mention that Reuniclus can run this same set, Calm Mind, Recover, Psychic Noise, Knockoff. It is slower, which has some disadvantages since it won't be able to outspeed some Pokemon and block their healing, but it won't have to use Terra Poison to protect itself from Toxic, since Reuniclus has Magic Guard. Both Pokemon can work for this role, it really just depends on the team. Alright, now time for a much more exciting and fast-paced Psychic type. At number 3, we have Veluza. Veluza is a water and psychic type with the incredible ability Mold Breaker. Mold Breaker allows your attacks to ignore the opponent's abilities. Most notably in this case, Mold Breaker ignores Unaware. Unaware is an ability frequently used on stall teams, primarily by Clodsire and Dondozo. Pokemon with this ability ignore stat boosts, so a Kingambit after a Swords Dance will deal just as much damage to a Dondozo as if it never used Swords Dance at all. Mold Breaker, though, overrides this, so if Veluza sets up, Unaware Pokemon will take the full boosted damage. This is amazing because Veluza has a great setup move, Fillet Away. It boosts speed, attack, and special attack by 2 stages, but halves the user's HP. Basically, Shell Smash, but it halves your HP instead of lowering defense. Despite a mediocre base 78 special attack, the best Veluza set for breaking stall is actually a special attacker. You use Fillet Away to set up, Recover to stay healthy and maybe even Fillet Away more than once, Terra Blast Fighting to hit dark types, and Stored Power as your main stab move. After using Fillet Away once, Stored Power is already at 140 base power. This will easily one-shot Clodsire and Dondozo. If Blissey tries to stop you, you can simply Recover and Fillet Away again, then obliterate it. Against most teams, Veluza's poor defenses make more than one Fillet Away nearly impossible, but not against stall. The main drawback of Veluza is that you need to position yourself very carefully to get a sweep, even against stall teams. Especially defensive Gliscor is likely to live a stored power from full health, and it can put your Veluza on a timer with Toxic. A Toxapex that uses Terra can also survive and poison you, once again ending the dream. To sweep with Veluza, you need to force your opponent to use Terra on something else on their team first, and make sure Gliscor is weakened. You also need to find the right time to Fillet Away, so you're left with as much HP as possible. Alomomola and Dondozo are typically great targets. It's incredible against stall, but due to the somewhat difficult conditions needed to get a full team sweep, it's only at number 3. Before we get into the top 2, if you're enjoying the video, please consider subscribing and leaving a like. It helps out a lot. Alright, now for number 2, Conkeldurr. Conkeldurr is a mono fighting type with the amazing ability Guts, which boosts attack by 1.5 times when statused. So if Conkeldurr holds a Flame Orb, it can get a Choice Band equivalent boost on physical attacks, and it can now utilize 140 base power Facade. Conkeldurr has the same attack stat as Ursaluna, 140. Paired with Facade and Close Combat, this power is pretty incredible, and unlike Ursaluna, Conkeldurr gets Knockoff, which notably allows it to remove heavy-duty boots and rocky helmets in the stall matchup. With Terra Normal Facade, Knockoff, and Close Combat, almost nothing can deal with Conkeldurr. Dondozo is easily two-shot by Terra Normal Facade, Corviknight gets destroyed by Close Combat, Alomomola gets ruined by both, and of course all special walls get one-hit KO'd. Conkeldurr does need support to pull off its incredible breaking, though. With the Flame Orb, longevity is a serious issue. It needs wish support from something like Alomomola to help it stay alive, and grassy terrain is nice as well. With this support, though, almost nothing can stop it. The problem is, almost nothing. Relying primarily on fighting and normal moves to attack make ghost types a big threat. Knockoff will deal great damage the first time with 97.5 base power, but after the item is removed, it's only 65 base power, so very bulky defensive Terra Ghost Pokemon can sit on Conkeldurr forever. Now, they do need to be really bulky. A 100% health Terra Ghost Corviknight gets 2-hit KO'd by knockoff after Stealth Rock, even if its item was previously removed. Max defense Terra Ghost Toxapex meets the same fate. But if you face a Terra Ghost max HP and physical defense a la Momola, that's going to shut Conkeldurr down. Natural ghost types can do this as well. Pecharunt is a rare choice on stall, but if you see it, your Conkeldurr won't be doing much at all. A speed-invested Sinistcha can also switch in on Conkeldurr, tank a knockoff, and Strength Sap back to full if your team doesn't have any way to deny Strength Sap healing. I should also mention that Heracross is very similar to Conkeldurr and can also run Close Combat, Facade, and Knockoff. It has less immediate power, with 125 base attack to Conkeldurr's base 140, but it does get Swords Dance, which can help break past Terra Ghost walls and threats like Pecharunt and Sinistcha. In summary, the vast majority of stall teams will crumble against a well-supported Conkeldurr, but if you face a few select difficult Pokemon, you're out of luck. Now for number 1, we have Hisuian Typhlosion. It's a fire and ghost type with Blaze, and a decent but unremarkable 119 base special attack. What really makes it great is that it gets the coveted move Eruption. This is a special fire move that has power based on the user's level. If the user is at 100% health, Eruption is an insane 150 base power. In Sun, with Terra Fire, almost nothing can handle Hisuian Typhlosion. All you have to do is give it an entrance on something that can't take an Eruption, like Galarian Weezing, Corviknight, Clodsire, or Gliscor, and you're probably going to get a kill. Porygon Z faced issues dealing with Protect Pokemon since they can scout what move it would use. Hisuian Typhlosion simply doesn't care. It's clicking Eruption, and the stall player knows it. There's just nothing they can do about it. Specially defensive Toxapex takes 60% minimum, and Alomomola has a chance to be one-hit KO'd. Typhlosion does have a couple of issues, though. The first is PP. Eruption unfortunately only has 8 PP, and especially with how many Protect Pokemon are on typical stall teams, you probably will run out in the game. That being said, if you play well, you'll have several kills by the time you do run out of Eruptions, and you'll still have Flamethrower and Overheat to deal lots of damage. On top of that, if you manage to get Typhlosion tactically damaged to under 33% into Blaze range, it will basically get Eruption again, as Blaze-boosted Flamethrower is nearly as powerful. There are a lot of ways to break well, even after Eruption PP is gone. The bigger issue is that Blissey sometimes has a fire-resistant Terra type. Terra Water is sometimes used for Walking Wake, and this hurts Typhlosion as well. If your opponent has Terra Water Blissey, the entire plan is basically shut down. Typhlosion won't be doing much. Generally, Blissey is a lot more threatened by Psyshock and Psychic Noise, so Terra Dark is on the vast majority of Blissey, but if you run into the 6% usage Terra Water, the Typhlosion dream is dead. This is pretty uncommon though, so Typhlosion firmly asserts itself as the most reliable stall breaker on this list. So there it is. No Pokemon is truly unwallable, but these Pokemon come a lot closer than most of the strongest breakers even in OU. If you enjoyed the video, please consider subscribing and leaving a like. Let me know in the comments what you think of my list. Are there any other low usage stall breakers you think are more potent than the ones I mentioned here? Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.